All right, 25 minutes before 8 o'clock, we had our small talk, and we're ready to get to business. Now, the picture on the streaming video shows a handsome man and a pretty lady, and he is Kevin Christian, and she is Dr. Heidi Maier, and they're from, of course, Marion County Public Schools. She's the superintendent, newly elected superintendent of public schools. Kevin is a public relations officer and coordinator of the television media productions, which we love doing that thing we do with you every year.
Student Media Festival.
Coming up, the Student Media Festival. Yes.
It is.
In fact, the mall wants to talk to you about showing the films here. She just told us yesterday.
Okay.
Yeah,
when she found out that we do that, she said, is there any way to get there? I said, talk to him. All we do is judge and show up and look goofy.
She and I are working on another project together, so.
Oh, that's wonderful.
From the mall?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay, good. Well, good morning to both of you. Good morning, Dr. Maier.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm great.
Thank you for accepting my invitation to come in. So the original invitation was because there was in the news the confirmation hearings for Betsy DeVos. Is that how you say her name? And Al Franken brought up the topic of proficiency versus growth. Is that what it was, Robin? And so we were saying, well, what is that? What does that actually mean? And so we kind of figured it out. And I wanted to start with that and how it applies to our schools. Because the way I understood it, correct me if I'm wrong, if you don't mind me just saying what I think it means. Proficiency is, I'm in the second grade and I'm right in line with all the other second graders. Growth is, I come into the second grade still at kindergarten level, and the teacher is so good, she's bringing me up to first grade level, but I haven't met the proficiency. So she's really good, but her grade doesn't show she's good. Am I right? Is that what that is?
That is it.
Okay,
That's a good summary.
so how do you use that? How does that get used in the schools to maybe teach the children better, or does it affect the amount of money the federal government sends down to us?
Yes, well, the whole idea of growth versus proficiency and what each is and the benefit of each came about when the No Child Left Behind law was implemented with accountability measures. And we collectively had looked at grades and looked at what is proficient, and actually found that many times when all you reach for is proficiency, you do a disservice to many children. You do a disservice to the ones who excel, and you do a disservice to the ones who struggle. Because a student may be proficient yet be gifted and you're not meeting their needs. They may be excelling past
Good point.
proficiency,
Yeah.
but you stop at proficient, as well as with students who are so low that respectfully, there may be a situation where a teacher says, well, they're so low, let me focus on the kids who I could bump, those bubble kids. So
that's interesting.
with
yeah.
proficiency,
That's a hard job being a teacher.
It is. It is, although it's the most rewarding profession, besides being a mom, I think, but it is a difficult
love that.
profession.
Yeah.
So if you look, though, at growth, what you're doing is taking a student where they're at and moving them a certain amount or as much as you can. And that benefits all children, because those children who are excelling, you're taking them way past where they're supposed to be. You're taking them way past that. And the students who are struggling, who come in low, as you said, you are still just expounding their horizons, and you are raising them. So that is the issue that we face. Is it better to be proficient, or is it better to show growth? So,
what do you think? It sounds like growth is the thing. I would think a teacher would say, you know what, this kid is already at third grade level, and we're in the second grade. Just to continue with my little example, let me see if I can bring up to the fourth grade level. Do they actually put them into the next grade when they're doing that, or do they stay in the second grade but they're at the fourth grade level? What is the policy? Do we bump kids ahead in grades? In other words, you always hear these stories. Every once in a while there'll be a story like this. It should be in the eighth grade. He's in college. That kind of story.
Well, we can, but we also look at differentiated instruction, and that's where you meet each child where they're at and teach them through their modalities, and again encourage that growth and taking them to levels beyond expectations. So with differentiated instruction, we can meet the needs of students in the grade that they're at.
Does stuff trickle down from the federal or the state government that you have to adhere to that frustrates you, or do you know what I mean? Do they say to you, you have to do this, and you think, the best interest of the children is something different? Does that happen?
Well, it does, and currently we are under watch with the DOE with some of our turnaround schools, so we're having to play by other people's rules right now to get ourselves out of a bind. Once we're out of that bind, we'll be more free to do what we know is best for our students, as long as we are showing outcomes, and I believe that we can show those outcomes. So right now, we have to do some things to get in line with what the state expectations are. Then we're free to pretty much do as we see best for our students.
And does that change the amount of money, or is money a different topic completely?
In certain situations, it's a different topic, but again, the state's looking for outcomes, and I believe that we can get those outcomes and do what's best for our students. We just need to navigate through this situation right now.
So tell me about the state of the schools in general, since you've taken office. I know it's very new for you. Is anything needing to be changed? There was a whole list of things that the Star Banner put in there. Testing was one of them. What was the veterans parking thing? What was that? That story. What was that?
The Purple Heart parking?
Yeah. Was that
inappropriate, a heart for today. So
yeah.
When I was at the College of Central Florida and with the teacher preparation program, and I had interns in other counties, and Citrus County, I would go to Citrus County, and as I would pull up to a school to visit a student, I would see they had these Purple Heart reserved parking spaces. And I spoke to some of the administration in Citrus County, and they said it was a great way to honor those who gave so much for our country.
Yeah. I love that.
And when I got elected, I thought, what a small gesture that could mean so much to so many.
Because the children would ask, what does that mean?
Exactly. It's a teachable moment every time
right.
you see that parking sign, every time you drive up to that school. And so it was, again, just something simple that meant so much to so many who gave us so much.
I think the same thing with the wisdom, whoever was behind the naming of the Hammett Bowen School. I mean, to me, that was a smart move because it does the same exact thing you're talking about.
Well, that really came from the Veterans Council. I think that school opened 10, 11, 12 years ago, something like that. And that was a huge, huge contribution to this community, not just in terms of a school being there, but to recognize and permanently put into place the ultimate sacrifice of that family.
Yes, right, absolutely.
And you guys have been to that school.
Yeah.
You understand that every child who comes through there learns the lesson of Hammett L. Bowen Jr.
Yeah.
And they hear it for 5-6 years.
Yeah, and for those who don't know, can you tell the story?
Mr. Bowen was in the military, and he literally threw himself onto a grenade to save some of his men under his command, and ultimately paid the price.
Wow. The only Marion County resident to receive?
Only recipient of the Medal of Honor in Marion County.
Wow.
Correct.
Dr. Heidi Maier is here, the superintendent of public schools in Marion County, and so this is your second visit.
Yes.
Now we feel like we know you.
Well, thanks.
So, and I love you. I love what you do. I love what you post. I love your enthusiasm. You were at the 5 Points of Life. You did I said hi, but you didn't say hi back. You were doing the live video thing.
Oh.
I said, hi, Dr. Maier. How you doing?
You just have to get behind her cell phone, and then boom, you're good to go.
And you've done something very unique, too. You've taken the word town hall and made it into community conversations.
We just had our,
Pretty awesome.
I won't say the final, but the last of the first round of community conversations last evening at East Marion Elementary. And we had 5 of them over the last 3 weeks. And great response from the communities. Many of our own employees were at those meetings, but of course many of the parents and community members were as well. On a whole host of topics, everything from boots on the ground philosophy, which Dr. Maier came into office quickly sharing, everything from there to the staffing plan, to current negotiations with the bargaining units that we have, to FSA and testing and school grades. I think there were 8 or 9 topics that we shared. And of course, the audience members had time to ask questions as well.
Yeah. Are we doing too much testing? Is that complaint legitimate? Is that a legitimate complaint?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And when we suspended some assessments a few weeks ago, the reason we did that, we had looked at the data we were getting from our assessments and realized that much of our local assessments were not giving us data that we could use to refine our instruction, which is the true purpose of assessment is to use it to refine instruction, and that much of our assessment procedures were not aligned to the FSA, the Florida Standards Assessment. Therefore, there was really no point in them. Good teachers assess continually. It's called Progress Monitor. So they can look at their students. They'll know where they're at just by looking, by doing informal assessments on their own. They don't need to be overburdened by assessments that do not provide accurate data. Therefore, we suspended assessments that then gave the teachers more teaching time, which is what we want them to do. We want quality instruction in front of those little people.
Do teachers have the freedom to quiz without the results of the quiz being figured into the final grade? In other words, just as a way to test their own effectiveness, like how effective am I getting this lesson across? Let me give you a quick quiz. Are they allowed to do that?
Oh, certainly, and that's progress monitoring. They could do a short paper pencil, like you said, but they also by observation, because good teachers are trained to do observation and to be able to monitor a class as they walk around and they see students having conversation. What are the students saying when they see them creating a project? What are they creating a diorama with the appropriate person in the right spot? And does Fort King look like Fort King should? That's an informal assessment, yes, as we were chatting earlier. So there are many informal ways to assess that a teacher can use to drive instruction without overburdening them on these lengthy tests that, again, did not provide the data we needed to drive instruction.
Have you had questions from parents about the Common Core perspective?
We did last night. And again, I have to clarify that Florida does not use Common Core. We use the Florida Standards, which is Common Core with some extra math and some handwriting added in. But again, it goes back to what we call Tier 1 instruction, that initial instruction to children. And from the district perspective, I take that responsibility that our teachers do not have, I think, the correct materials, the correct curriculum to teach as they should, and they have not been given the freedom to differentiate instruction, as we mentioned before. So if we're giving teachers what they need to do their job efficiently, as their college-educated brains and their compassionate hearts have taught them to do, things are going to be fine, and we can overcome that the beast that is Common Core.
Yeah.
Nice.
And I think Kevin helped me understand this a lot better because we brought it up one time, and we're old, and we remember what we learned. We think everybody should learn the way we learned, and Kevin kind of set me straight on that. And in fact, since I had that conversation with you, Kevin, I've spoken to a couple of teachers, one whom is my niece, and she said, there's some good and some stuff she didn't agree with the Common Core. So. And I don't even know what's in it. I just know what people are saying when they call in.
Well, we have to realize that kids today, kids are kids throughout the years. But kids today, and this sounds kind of funny, kids are born with technology. Kids are born with different skills and abilities than you and I had when we were young.
Yeah.
Children, I think the basics are still the same, but how they learn and what they learn with have vastly changed since we were in school.
Yeah.
How many times did you sit in front of a computer?
When I was a kid?
Okay, question answered. I remember the day our high school got our one Radio Shack TRS-80. One.
You must be younger than me. I don't even think that happened yet when I was in school.
And now we have over 36,000 computers on our school district network. 36,000.
Wow.
And that's one of the things that is awarded to the class for the student media festival when they win. They get
new computer, absolutely.
New computer.
It's we have to remember that students learn uniquely. You can't put 30 kids in a class or 22 or 18, whatever the cap is, depending on the grade level, and expect every child to learn exactly the way you teach them. That's pie in the sky thinking.
And isn't that interesting how technology actually gives us another way to teach?
It does.
Because how many things have I learned just from YouTube videos, which we didn't have?
Well, look around you. Your job is
I know.
computer.
I'm surrounded by them.
So
I know.
Students, they don't even think about it. It's just innate in them.
Are they handing each other Valentine's cards today? Are they doing that little cut out the folded paper thing?
Yes, they do.
They're doing that?
Nice.
Yes, they do.
Do you remember doing that? You fold the red paper, you cut a little thing.
And that's another wonderful thing about your position, because you allow the teachers that field and leeway of creativity for the students. And then you also recognize that. And then at the end of the year, you have the Golden Apple Awards, and you involve all the students because they, love their teachers and they want to see their teacher be rewarded just as the teacher is rewarding them.
That was a magical night, wasn't it? The Golden Apple. And we thank our Public Education Foundation for sponsoring that and doing such a fantastic job. But you're right. If a teacher is teaching the standards, they're following school board policy, the Code of Ethics of the state of Florida for teachers, teach the standards the way the students need to learn them. We shouldn't be micromanaging that.
I think you're right. Yeah, because the teacher is a teacher. And so her job or his job has a lot to do. It's almost like an art in a way. It's not a science. They can't, like Kevin was just saying, it's all got to be different.
Well, think back to when you were in school. You have those 1, 2, maybe 3 teachers that truly made a mark in your life.
Oh, yeah, Miss Braun.
I remember Mrs. McKean in 3rd grade.
Miss Braun for me, Kevin.
So, and it could certainly have to do with how they taught you, the method with which they used to teach you. But I dare say it probably had more to do with the fact that they made a connection.
Absolutely, yes. I think that is what it is.
And that's what great teachers do.
And there still are field trips in schools.
Yes,
and
there
that is really, really important, too, to actually have a hands-on something for the students.
Exactly.
Once they get that fort built over at Fort King, that's going to be a cool field trip. It's not going to be far, but it's going to be cool to go to.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Well, we have the Silver River
Yes.
Museum.
Absolutely.
Right.
Oh, yeah, I love
think
that.
is it 5th graders? There's one grade level. They all go during the year. And that's a living, breathing museum that they can
Yeah.
go and touch and experience, and it's right there.
And the Cracker Village, too. And that opens up a few times a year.
We were talking earlier about the fact. Well, this is Black History Month, and we were talking about the fact that certain history is left out, and we at one time slaves was part of our history, and we were talking. I don't want to make political out of this, but that all is that still being taught in schools? Like when you go to the Cracker Village, you learn not only this is how people live, but this isn't how everybody lived. Some people live differently back in those days. Yeah,
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, just as there are different structures of society today, history teaches us that it was the same back then.
You know,
Not necessarily good, but
one of the cool things that surfaces at the Student Media Festival is that the kids show us what's important to them
through their eyes.
through their eyes. I love that.
Yeah.
And so certain things like, remember the little child who had diabetes?
Oh, yes.
And she had a little patch or something on her, and she, oh my gosh,
her
she made such an
abdomen.
impressive video
Yeah.
to show the other kids what it was like, to live with that. So
That empathy, yeah.
yeah, it's cool. It's a really great program, and I'm so proud. I know every year you guys tell us that Marion County does better than the rest of the state.
And this year is no exception. We'll share those numbers. This year's event is Friday, April 7th, Westport High School, 7 p.m. It's free and open to the public, and you better get there early because you guys know if you're not there.
I don't want
have
to
a place
say
sit.
names because I'm going to leave out a name, but we've had some kids that we remember from doing the festival.
Sure.
We always sit through the whole festival.
Yeah.
By the way, I don't know if you ever noticed that. We
I
never
have,
leave.
yes.
We stay
Yeah.
for the whole thing. And we see children who are making videos as young children, like 2nd grade, maybe even younger. And now, because we've done it for a long time, we've actually had them coming in here saying, hey, can we make a video for you? And they're like, 20 years old, whatever they are now. And we say, holy cow, I remember when you were a little kid.
Right,
And
exactly.
this became their career.
Right.
Making
And-
videos.
And kudos to the two of you because you guys are always, without exception, the first to respond to judging.
Thank you.
You always say,
Thank
yes,
you,
count us
Robin.
in.
Robin,
Count
you're
us
making
in.
us look good. Yeah, Robin does that. All right. So what's your plan for today? You guys have anything special for Valentine's Day?
We have a school board meeting tonight.
Yeah?
Yep.
Are you going to give out hearts? That's an idea, right?
Always.
Oh.
She just gave you that one.
Oh,
You saw
that
one.
thing. Yeah. That's-
Do you, after you were elected, did you go to the individual schools and present yourself to all of the classes? Did each school have an assembly where they know now who the new superintendent is?
I'm making my rounds to the schools. Our deputy superintendents and our principals on assignment have made 196 visits to schools as of yesterday.
Oh,
We're
my.
collecting that data, yes. And so we continue to get out there and meet people. The community conversations that Kevin set up are a great way to hit the community as well, and many of those people. So we continue to get out there.
And you also advocate job shadowing for the older grades, for the high school grades, which is pretty amazing.
Yes, I don't think we have a formal program in
Correct.
place. But again, as we move forward with our vocational, that job shadowing adds to all of that.
And internships as well. Those are
Oh, yes.
pivotal for those students pursuing careers locally.
Yeah, huge.
So what will we see in the future? You'll be back, right? We can invite you back.
Please do.
Yeah, good. Because I mean, I like these visits. It kind of keeps us up to date. There was a word in the news. Was it Ames Web AI?
Ames Web.
What was that?
That was one of the assessments that we suspended.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So because as news people, we were like, "What the heck is that?" And you got to look it up, and you're not sure what it. Because you go on Google. I should have just called you.
There you go.
Well, you can call me.
Call Kevin. Yeah.
The open houses are very intricate. They need to. They're very important for the parents to come to meet the students, teachers, and everything. And it seems like the older the students get, sometimes the parents don't show up in the high school years. How will you bring more parents in for them to meet the teachers of their high school students? I always went with my kids.
Well, we know that family engagement, there is data, there is research that shows it adds to student success, and it's kind of common sense. If you're interested in your child's success or in your child's education, they're going to be more successful. So again, it's looking outside the box and looking at more non-traditional ways of reaching families. Open houses, of course, are fabulous, but we need to look at the schedule, and today's parents are not the same as parents when we were going to school. So we need to look at ways to reach them, and that's why we're going to be moving forward with a more dynamic family engagement component in our district.
So I'm going to ask you to answer two questions at once. What is the most, since taking the office,
Okay.
the most challenging thing so far, or maybe that's to come, maybe you see something down the road, and the most rewarding thing as being superintendent? What's the most rewarding thing? You can answer one or both of them. Which
Well, challenging was learning a system that was in place. Coming from the outside, there were a lot of relationships and things to build and to make, and we're making great progress on that. We've got a great team that's doing great things. But the most rewarding is just knowing that those children, those 42,000 children, just giving them the opportunities that they may not have had.
And that also goes to say that not all of the children come from loving homes. Some don't have any homes, that they're homeless, yet the school system embraces them as well, and everybody's treated as an equal.
That absolutely, because everybody matters.
Well, thank you for coming in. It's really good to get to know you. I'm a fan, and partially a fan because you're keeping in touch. It's hard to be a fan when you don't know somebody. So thank you for being active on. And I'm a 62-year-old man now. My last day of youth was the day before my birthday, which was the 7th.
Oh.
I became old on the 8th.
Aren't there benefits, though?
Yes. Yes, there are. Thank you for coming in, and thank you for allowing us to get to know you. And thank you for taking care of the kids. I mean, that goes for both of you. My gosh, your job is so impressive. Do you oversee the college as well, or is that separate from what you do? Okay,
That's separate.
I wasn't sure.
That's Dr. Henningsen, yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you for what you do. The county, the city has grown to such a point now, and it is because of our educators. We have some amazing students. What I always say, we see the cream of the crop because we do a radio show. The kids who have got awards, the kids who've won special, awards again.
And recognition for their help to the community, their volunteerism.
And they come in here, and you're so impressed, and you realize we're doing something right, So and you're the ones doing it. We're just the ones observing it.
Our teachers.
Our teachers
are making the difference.
Yeah,
Yep.
and so are you. Thank you, Dr. Maier, and thank you, Kevin.
Thank you.
We will be right back. Happy Valentine's Day.
To you too.